Hi, everybody. From the Tree Oracle, I just pulled this card. The Soul Tree, it's called. These Soul Trees. Community. That's what we are. Soul community. Coming together on the full moon pulses. 12, 13 a year, right? So if you think about it, we're meeting once a month, every 28 days around in these pulses. And we get to connect like this and electively become a community of conscious souls together. And today, this full moon in Libra, solar Aries, the beginning of the 3 festivals of spring begins tomorrow at 5:22 p.m. That's when it starts. And I'm going to be at Meditation Mount tomorrow, doing a live full moon meditation over there for they're placing a peace pole at the Mount. So that'll be really beautiful. And I have a special place in my heart for the peace poles, as you know, as I was so happy when I got a peace pole for my land here. So I'm happy to see you all on this big energy time. And when you think of full moon in Libra, then you have to think of the scales and of balance. And that's the easiest way and one of the quickest, most, well-known words to describe Libra is balance. And I think it's important to say right now because we need to keep our balance, especially in Aries times, which everything's explosive and hot and warlike and fighting, and Aries things are happening because we're in the month of Aries. But we're having the influence of Libra, which is how do you keep your balance in these times? That's what I want you to think about while I'm talking. What in your life does balance you? What in your life doesn't, right? And that's almost as important of a answer, right, as what does, what doesn't. I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were pretty rattled, by everything. And I said, "Are you watching the news a lot?" And they said, "Yep." And I said, "You really have to be discerning. Right? It doesn't mean you shouldn't watch the news. Of course, you need to know what's happening. I don't mean that. But you really need to be selective about what you watch, how long you watch it for. Because remember, what is happening right now is chaos, right? And so the more you engage with the chaos, the less you'll feel balanced because you're going to feel the chaos and be part of the chaos of now this, now this, now this, now this. It's going fast, right? All these things that are happening so quickly. There's no time to recover from the last thing that you just heard to the new thing that you're hearing, to the fear thing that you're anticipating, right? Possibly, right? And so you have to be very mindful about how you are hearing things. And so it goes back to my question. What is helping you keep your balance? And you really need to know that answer. What are the things? And like coming here is, right? We keep our balance together. This is an anchoring of balance. We're literally practicing with the whole world in mindfulness and consciousness to connect to something bigger than ourselves that helps us, especially when we meditate. The meditation itself is an alignment, right? So what are the things in your life that are helping you keep your balance? And then also what is in your life that's not helping you keep your balance? And think about that. What is it? What needs to change? What needs to, so much about walking outside, things like that, right? Sitting by a tree, putting your feet in the grass, meditating, obviously. Kindred friends and hearts that you know. Mindful speaking, mindful listening, because people are volatile right now, right? And so taking your time to speak, taking your time, or not even speaking, just holding space for someone while they are, or just holding space, period, for your neighborhood, right? Holding space to keep the calm, that calm center that you're practicing. So what is it in your life that you could do more of, and what in your life could you do less of? And it's really important to answer that and then do it. What you're answering, like what you're realizing, because as I'm saying it, it's sort of addictive, right? It's very like, somebody was telling me once that part of the nature of cell phones is they wanted it to be like when you're at Las Vegas, it's going ding, 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 ding all the time, right? And it's kind of making you look and 3 sevens, that feeling of you got to look, you got to see what's happening. You don't want to lose track. You don't want to miss something, right? And the light's lit up. But now the whole world is like that. It's like a crazy pinball machine, right? And it's just going so fast and so speed. And, you're watching this thing over here, but something down here is happening that's more important. And, you don't know where to look. But when you meditate and you find your center, you can look at everything at the same time. And that's that greater consciousness, right? As you become more still, the more still you become, the more you can hear, right? That's Ram Dass, right? That quieter, that quietening, as you get more and more still, you can hear more and more. And that is with consciousness too. The more still your consciousness is, the more you can hold of what's happening right around you and beyond you. And as much as you can handle in terms of holding energy, everybody's different in their capacity of how much we can hold. But every little bit that's held, it helps. So that we're not part of the chaos, not part of the noise, not part of the bells ringing. We become a point of calm. But of course, that comes from the inside out. And that begins with us ourselves, to find that calm within ourselves. And where is our balance, right? To find our balance. And what keeps us in balance and what doesn't keep us in balance. And do more of that and less of the other, right? It's like just to really build that in a conscious way. And because it's Aries too, Aries sun, Libra moon, Libra full moon, Aries is about focus. And so what I've called and titled this full moon for myself, I used to like to title things like poems. These are all like little poems to me, little haikus of meditation, is two things: relaxed attention, relaxed attention, which is different. That's a yoga term. We use that all the time, to have a relaxed attention, which is perfect. That's where you're the most creative and you can respond in the many ways, right? To have a relaxed attention mentally. Yoga is the settling of the mind into stillness, right? That's that first sutra. Yoga is the settling of the mind into stillness. Oh. And so meditation is a part of limb of yoga, one of the limbs of yoga, right? And so we learn to become still within ourselves. And so the title I started with is Relaxed Attention, and that's sort of more of the attitude, but the name is Keep Your Eye on the Ball. So here's the funny thing, right? How do you keep your eye on the ball and not get fascinated by what the ball is doing? Right? Bow, 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 right? So we're watching the ball, keeping your eye on the ball, but in this relaxed attention way. So there is an attention to what's happening, not head in the sand. And I think that's the hard thing, right? So there's a lot of different responses we can have. One is indifference, apathy, right? Whatever doesn't affect me, or something like that, right? The other is head in the sand, magical thinking. I'm just going to ignore it until it's over. Magical thinking, it's all going to be okay. All these things are kind of ways to cope with these energies, but they're not necessarily spiritual ways, right? And the other is, I'm going to change it, I'm going to break it, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to show everybody, sort of aggressive to it, right? Or afraid of it, right? All of these kinds of stances we can take. But in spirituality or spiritual approach is my heart can hold it all, including all of my own reactions and my own responses and my own fears and my own knowings. I can hold all of it, and I don't need to react in any particular way. And the more that I don't go into a reactive mode, the more I can hold the center. So keeping your eye on the ball, meaning keeping your focus, that you're not missing anything, but there's a relaxed attention to it. So it's almost like you're watching the clouds go by of this time, which the whole thing becomes a meditation, you see. I was talking to one of my clients and I was saying, she was saying, I'm so scared, I don't know what's going to happen about this and that, right? And I was saying, well, the problem with fear is, there's a lot of problems with fear, but one of them is you cannot touch or be in touch with your intuition when you're scared, right? So what if we're scared, though? There may be something scary happening. And so when you have a practice in meditation, you learn to kind of stop on a dime, of whatever the strong emotion that might be coming up. You can stop within yourself and come to center, find your alignment. You know how I've been saying lately, there's nothing more important than your alignment. Nothing, right? So when something's coming at you, or you think something's coming at you, or you fear that something will come at you, right? You just quickly return to your alignment. And the minute that you do that, all those fears kind of shift and change anyway. They're not fears, because fears are things that could happen, right? Mostly in the future kinds of things. And if there's a fear right here, right now, there's something to do. Usually to go away from it, come closer to it, talk to it, there's an action to take possibly. But most fears are anxiety kinds of things. What if this happens? What if that happens? So when we're in that state, and you know how I'd love to teach about intuition, because it's such a big, important part of meditation, and it happens spontaneously from meditating. When we're in fear or anger, there's no intuition there. And so you have to go in between the thoughts to get back to your intuition. So you know how I call it gapping. You gap it. So even you take a breath. Okay, there's my intuition. Now, flood of fear, flood of thoughts comes back in perhaps. But still, even in the flood of thoughts and things that are on the pinball machine going off and getting your attention, pulling your attention this way and that, you can find your alignment. So there's just nothing more important. So every day, if you spend 1 minute finding your alignment at the beginning of your day, don't miss that. Don't skip that. That's the thing to do. If there's something to build right now, it's that muscle. That you have a place in you that knows your alignment by heart. And then that thing I've been saying lately, no matter what you see, no matter what you think, no matter, what even may be happening, right? You still hold for the highest. You keep holding for the highest by your alignment. Hold for the highest by your alignment. So the alignment, see, I'm going down. So I'm hold for the highest. I'm going up by your alignment, down onto the planet, through this body, through this voice, through these eyes, through these hands, right? Meaning yours and mine, ours. So we practice. And so then it goes back to the question, what in your life is helping you stay in balance? And just know what those things are, and that you're doing consciously, intentionally, and what things in your life are not helping to keep your balance. I don't know which is more important. They're both important. And I would just add on top of all that, like the bow on top, and the through line of the whole thing is your alignment. So every day, start your day, even if it's for 1 minute, do it. Find it. be it. Breathe it. Right? And if you can spend 5 minutes, if you can spend more, you do. But even if it's 1 minute, it changes everything that happens throughout that day, because you touched that point and you intentionally are touching that point daily. So for me, definitely in the morning I meditate. But throughout the day, I take conscious breaths that line me back up to my original alignment that I began with in the morning, right? I take my meditation, and then every time I stop, every time I change directions, every time I'm seeing a client and I see another client, right, maybe right after each other, I take a conscious breath and I reconnect to my original alignment, and I can check myself. How am I? Right? How am I now? How am I now? All through the day, I'm doing that till I go to sleep, right? And so now you're meditating all the time. And that is something to really aspire to, because boy, does that change everything. Talk about intuition increasing, being in the right place at the right time, having, luck, they would call it. But it's not luck, it's flow, right? It's timing, because you're constantly connecting and reconnecting to that original alignment. So I've been teaching a lot about alignment lately in all the meditations that I put up on SoundCloud and YouTube, especially recently. Last year I taught about intuition. This year I'm teaching about alignment. It's just everything. Intuition is just icing on the cake. It is a lovely, wonderful aspect of meditation and the healing things that happen and your extrasensory perceptions that grow when you start to meditate. But it all happens from the alignment, right? And the alignment is with the soul. So that consciousness, that higher self, however you think of it, where you're connecting to that higher part of you that is ever expanding, infinite consciousness. Ever expanding, infinite consciousness. That is who we are. So I think that's enough for today to kind of get our organization around this. I'm also considering doing an astrology class, not a class, but a conversation about what's happening right now. If people are interested, I would love to know that. There's so much going on right now, as you know, and that is another way of looking at things. But if I had to pick, and I know a lot about astrology because I grew up with it, my father was an astrologer, I would still pick my alignment over everything. I trust myself. And I trust myself, and I mean capital S self, not little s self. I trust myself, right? That consciousness. And so you can learn to trust that self too as you start to build that alignment in a conscious way, so that you just know, different than I think this and I think that, all my opinions, all my viewpoints. And when I give an opinion, which I have, of course, many opinions about a lot of things, everything really, if you think about it, because we do, I'll say, this is my opinion. But it's not my knowing. It's not my knowing. So I don't really care about what I think so much, but I care a lot about my knowing. So that comes from your alignment. So that's what we're working on all the time right now. Really, really important. So be around kindred spirits, if you can. Also, this is in the sense of taking care of yourself right now, as there's so much chaotic energy out there. So be around, people that are conscious too, somewhat. And when you go out into the world and it's just crazy out there, even in traffic, when you go out into the world, you bring that alignment and that consciousness with you, right out into that experience. And it helps. That awareness helps. And we can start to hold for a higher thing. Last meditation class, which was 2 weeks ago, I was teaching about light, and I got an insight inside of it for myself. And it's so amazing when that happens, because I am not planning what I do inside the meditations. They come prompted by the group, right? And the group energy, and it starts coming through me in that way. And I got such an insight, and it's such an advanced concept that I don't know if I could quite teach it today, but I might. It might come through the meditation. But it has to do with light and how to hold light. And I used to say that in the old teachings, when in yoga, in the ancient teachings of yoga, it was said that the only reason that you even did yoga asana, which is the practices of the postures, was so that the vehicle of the body could hold more light. Right? So when there's pain, when there's sickness, it's like, I liken it to leaks, right? So the vessel has a leak, right? So the more that your body is whole, the more light you can contain. And I just thought it was such a nice way, and it feels true to me in that big sense, true way. And that doesn't mean that you can, if you have pain, that you're not holding light. Sometimes pain increases the light. So that's a whole other conversation, actually. But just the concept that you have to get a hold of your vehicle, the vehicle meaning the body. But even beyond the body is the consciousness, right? And so even if our body's falling apart, the consciousness can be wide awake, right? It can be wide awake, is wide awake, if we stay wide awake within ourselves. And that is that quality of light awareness. So let's do a meditation now. So if you have a candle, you can light it, or you can use mine. And this is just a symbol of light, right? We're using a candle as a symbol of lighting, being aware of our own light, being aware of the light. And so we light a candle as a symbol to contain the meditation and as a focal point of awareness. So we begin with the first wave that I was talking about, a relaxed attention. So the attention is aware and awake, wide awake and relaxed. Wide awake and relaxed. And you can feel the difference of wide awake and not relaxed, right? Which is often the case during the day, right? Something's got our attention hard, right? Wide awake and relaxed. A relaxed attention, Om. And so you start to lay that into the field of the self by relaxing your physical body, by relaxing your emotional body, and relaxing the mental body, which is the hardest one to relax usually, as the mind is constantly offering thought, which is the mind's job. So it's okay. But we're looking for the spaces in between the thoughts, right? So you're going into that expanded awareness, that expanded consciousness in between this thought, this thought, this thought, this thought. And so you're gapping, right? You're gapping, you're increasing the gap, you're opening up the gap. And remember that when you meditate, often we say, oh, I had a bad meditation, I had a good meditation. But it's all meditation. And whether you think you had a good meditation or you think you had a bad meditation is sort of irrelevant. The fact is that you meditated. And so let's start with that. So as you are starting to create that relaxed attention, let's use that mantra that I've been offering lately, that I love so much, so simple, which is, I am meditating. It's a command, it's a declaration, it's an action. I am meditating. Om. And so you take your seat as awakened consciousness within the self. I am meditating. And just gently breathing through the heart center, feeling all the heart lights in this space and around the planet of conscious souls and awakening souls, which, boy, is that happening right now, too. So many awakening souls. And we become midwives, right, to that. Ones of you that have been walking longer, right, can help the ones that are coming up. There's so much awakening consciousness on the planet. So in that state of a relaxed attention, let yourself start to become calm on purpose, present on purpose. And with your breath, anchoring into the moment, into this moment, into this breath. There's this beautiful phrase in the Bardo at the beginning, one of the very first things that happens as you enter that state, which is the in-between, right? And it says it like this: O awakened one, do not become distracted. This moment, breathing. And all the pinball machine of life in the world is going off still. Ding, ding, ding. Woo, woo, woo. Right? All these things are happening. And you can stand centered within yourself in your alignment because you are meditating. I am meditating. Om. And every time you think this phrase, speak this phrase, sense this phrase as a vibrational position, as a state, I am meditating. Om. If we had a conversation, you and I, right now, our conversation would be so different than if we weren't in this state. Right? If we were cooking right now, if we were driving right now, right? There would be such a presence to the way that we were embodying ourself with what we are doing, that you bring this presence, I am meditating, into everything you do, into every breath you take, more and more often, more and more constantly, more and more intentionally. Intentionally. I am meditating. And at this Aries Libra axis of balance and light, sense light in the center of the head, in the cave center. Sense light here. Doesn't matter if you see it. Sense it. The quality of light within the heart of the mind, within the heart of the cave center, just back. And breathing gently there to claim this space as awakened consciousness. Breathing gently through the head center now. And notice a sense of increasing light. This may just be a feeling or a sound even. Some people see light. Some people sense vibration. However you perceive it is how you perceive it. Breathing through the third eye, light, increasing light, and I am meditating. So today we're working a conscious meditation in a practice to anchor alignment, anchor your alignment. Soul with self, and sense that higher aspect of the self connecting with you, in you, to you, light to light. As this occurs, this greater light imbues you with light. So if you can imagine all the atoms of your body, millions of atoms, all having a nucleus, millions of nuclei lit up like little suns within the self, that the whole self becomes literally full of light, awakened consciousness. Awakened consciousness. There's consciousness in your cells. There's consciousness in your atoms. There's consciousness in everything. And everything is energy. Light. As above, so below. And you feel this direct connection now with that highest aspect of the self that you can sense. The part of you that is so old. So old. Ancient. And so future. All at once. So connecting past, present, future, in this now, of this ever-expanding infinite consciousness that you are. Remembering yourself. I am light in form. Breathing through the third eye. I am light in form. And within that light, as you allow yourself to be in this state of light, like if you could sort of peek behind the veil of your presence, if you could sense past the sky in your presence, you could feel the joy that is there, that is here in all moments. Within this meditation, within yourself, silently say, silently say, no. The state of joy. Now, this is very different than joyful, and very different than what we usually think of with joy as smiling and happy. I'm talking about profound now joy. Just touch it. Just touch it. And it already will change you just because you touched it, that you let yourself just touch it, changes you. And just let it dissolve into you now. Let it become part of you, whatever way you can imagine that happening. That quality infused in that light, no matter how dire the situation may appear that you are observing or feeling or reacting to. Joy within that light. It's the highest vibrational energy there is that can be measured. And it is very different, though, than joyful. So just, try to sense what I'm saying. Joy. Light. 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 And gently breathing that light in and out still through the head center, clearing the fields of the brain, all of its concerns, remembering who you are as ever-expanding infinite consciousness, and that you are meditating. I am meditating. And then feel that light increasing in every nucleus of every atom of yourself, and even more minutely than that, so that you are light in form. And let that light become radiance now. That light becomes radiance. And any way your mind or eyes or thoughts or emotions move, this radiance follows. Pure love. Pure compassion. Pure peace. As radiance, like a sun. So any way your mind moves or your consciousness attends, this radiance is within you, looking out through your eyes, breathing out through your breath, speaking through your voice, acting through your hands. And sensing once more now the alignment, your alignment, soul with self, memorizing it. Presence feels like this. Centered feels like this. Centered feels like this. And I am meditating. Imagining our world now in its highest light. As you inhale everything that's happening, exhale out light. Inhaling everything that you're aware of, that you know of, without attaching to any bit of it. Just all of it, inhaling, exhaling out light in the pattern of healing. Inhaling everything you're aware of in any way, shape, or form. And exhaling the pattern of peace and evolution in our planet, in our earth. All blessings to all beings. And just in these last moments, just in that radiance now. Standing in the center of this present moment as light, in form, in radiance. And I am meditating. Om. And sharing this with your world. Stepping out of your home with this in your spirit, in your whole being. And that helps. More than you think, more than you know. And when you're ready to, just letting your breath get deeper and fuller. Until it starts to feel natural to transition out of this meditation. Yeah, good. May peace prevail on earth, and may I be an agent of this peace. So, the next full moon is the Wesak, big one, biggest full moon of the year, May 11th. And the next meditation class will be April 27th or 28th. I'm not sure yet, Sunday or Monday. Hopefully I'll see you at one of those. These are powerful, powerful times. I'm so happy we're meditating together. I'm so happy for our community. You know, what a blessing. Because we're really holding the energy up and being that radiance in your world. To be that presence in your world is a gift. And it makes a difference in terms of what happens. So the world is birthing. A new world is coming, is happening. And it's, boy, are we in the contractions, right? So stay steady, stay aligned, meditate. I am meditating. Even just say that sentence all day long. I am meditating. Just bring yourself in. It really works. Thank you, everybody. So glad you're here. So glad to be together. So grateful that we have this. And I'll see you next time. And have a good month until then, till next month, or I might see some of you in different ways. Thank you. Peace be with you.